So, the Lakers suck. There's a lot of reasons for this that I'm sure have been covered to death already, so in this video we'll be focusing on finding the easiest ways to fix them. First, we'll look at their offense through the lens of Russell Westbrook, some of the lineups that he plays in. Then we'll take a look at some of their more general defensive issues. And finally, we'll look at some small changes I think could pay dividends for them down the stretch of the season. So as we take a look at the Lakers starting lineup, there's two things I'd like you to pay attention to: floor spacing and shot quality. These definitions are just my interpretation, but in short, how much room is there to drive being created by shooters, and what kind of shots is the offense getting because of that room? For example, from a good team, here we see great spacing lead to a great shot. Both Warriors backline defenders see McGee cutting towards the rim, but both are too hesitant to leave the shooters they're guarding and too close to those shooters to make a play at the rim, and it's a dunk. So on one of the first possessions of the game, the Hornets show their entire hand. Before Russ can even start this post-up, LaMelo is shading towards him hard, and the other three Hornets are ignoring their matchups off ball to pack the paint. For some reason, the Lakers decide to run a pick and roll with their two worst offensive players, and the Hornets could not be less scared of this shot. Here, after the Hornets trap Russ 3 feet behind the line, he hits a cutting Ellington, who gets some separation for a pull-up midi that misses. After the Hornets triple team on a potential rush drive, the ball swings a few times and Bradley has to force up this prayer with the shot clock almost gone. Bradley gets blocked here after a nice cut, but does well to grab the rebound and feed Johnson, who misses a contested corner three. And finally, after a DJ fumble of a Russ pass into the paint, the Hornets do what they do and immediately turn it into a highlight on the other end. So in 5 possessions, you scored 0 points, and I'm not even sure you got one solid scoring opportunity. Next, we'll look at how a similar lineup performed against a different team. After a really solid look from 3 for Ariza off of a pick and pop with Russ, Jordan shows good fight for the offensive rebound, and the ball finds Russ. Grimes makes an awful mistake and fouls Russ on the 3-point shot. Russ makes 2 of the 3. Here, after a bad gamble by Burks, Russ probes into the lane and completely loses the ball on the gather. It leads directly to 2 Knicks points. The next possession, Toppin fouls Ariza off ball and it's 2 more free throws. Not much to say here, a contested Russ midi early in the shot clock that misses. Watch here as neither screener makes contact with Russ's defender and both roll to the same spot on the floor. Russ compounds this issue by jumping in the air for the pass. Nothing is open and it's a turnover. Here, after a pick from Jordan, Russ attacks. When he lets this shot go, all 5 Knicks are in the paint and it's a miss. The shot quality here was ugly, with the only 4 points you scored in 7 possessions being free throws off of 2 bad Knicks fouls. So 2 different sets of clips, with 2 defenses playing Russ very similarly. And even with Russ being more aggressive in that second set of clips, the Lakers still struggled to create any good looks. And even if he did, is demanding that Russ create in bad spacing a good long-term plan for success? Shouldn't the goal be to make his job easier? Let's look at how much easier Russ creates shots in a better lineup. After a Johnson pick, Russ immediately attacks Plumlee for a layup. A good pass from Melo to Johnson, who attacks the closeout. Great ball movement leads directly to a warm-up 3 for Melo. Another Johnson screen leads to Russ one-on-one with Washington. Great in-and-out dribble and an even better left-hand finish by Russ for the and 1. And for the last clip from this game, yet another Russ Johnson pick and roll. Good ball movement again leads to an open Reeves 3. So with the spacing provided by Melo, and both Reeves and Johnson being versatile offensive players overall, Russ created 4 great shots in 4 possessions. We'll talk about this a bit more later, but for now let's look at some of the Lakers' issues defensively. First, there's a very noticeable lack of size and length on the wings. This team is already prone to breakdowns on and off ball, and even when they are in the right spots, they're often not athletic enough to make plays. This also makes simple actions like switching on and off ball harder, and they make lots of mistakes here too. These issues have been consistent all year, but more recently, it's been compounded by them playing very small at the 5, with LeBron and Melo taking most of these minutes since the All-Star break. This makes guarding the post extremely hard and rim protection non-existent at times. The best defenses in the league almost always have athletic and versatile defenders on the floor, which makes finding a weak point to attack hard. By comparison, the Lakers often have multiple weak points on the floor, which makes playing solid defense tough and great defense almost impossible. You'll often see teams running offense by simply putting both weak points on the same part of the floor and involving them both in the action. So these are obviously pretty big issues, but I do think some of them can be mitigated with better lineups. This is how I would do it. I've included 2 lineups here in case none and AD return from injury. Feel free to pause if you'd like a longer look. So first, this version of the team is much more athletic on the wings, allowing for more switchable and aggressive defensive schemes and more energy in general. Having more solid defenders on the floor means offenses will have to work a lot harder to find a weak point. This should lead to more stops, which hopefully opens up more transition opportunities for a potentially deadly transition team. And while the starting lineup doesn't have the best spacing, there's still plenty of shooting on the bench to space the floor and make balanced lineups that are productive on both ends all game. All of this should lead to a better, more efficient, and more consistent version of Russ. I also think a better Russ is the easiest way to get the most out of both LeBron and AD. So the biggest difference in my lineup versus Vogel's is that mine has no minutes for Bradley, Augustine, and THT. Bradley and Augustine get replaced here because I think Bazemore and Ellington just give you much of the same skill set and production offensively, but in bigger and more athletic players, which means even if neither is elite defensively, it's a lot harder for offenses to take advantage of them. As for THT, the flashes are incredible, and I still believe in him and his talent as a prospect long term, but I just don't think he gives you enough on either end right now to warrant minutes over a better defender or shooter. So I'm not here to pretend like these changes fix all the Lakers' problems. I didn't get into some of their other issues like their second half adjustments, or lack thereof, for example, because they didn't feel like easy fixes. That said, more versatile lineups might make these solutions easier to find too. So with under 10 games left in the regular season, there's a valid question of how effective these changes would even be, but I'm a big believer in better process leading to better results. If these changes get to the root of some of the Lakers' on-court issues like I think they do, they're still a legitimately dangerous team here. My only hope is that we get to see it. Hey y'all, so if you made it to this point in the video, thank you, I appreciate it. I've never really done anything like this before or released it, so that was really cool. I enjoyed it, it was fun. If you'd like to see more videos like this in the future, or if you enjoyed this one, feel free to like and subscribe. I'd like to put out at least a couple more videos in the next few months, at least that I have planned. And hey, if there's something that you would want to see me maybe explore in a video, feel free to let me know in the comments below. That's all I got. Peace.